Your vision is flawed.
I see the Padawan needs one last lesson.
Hi, my name is Dave Filoni, and I was the Supervising Director of Star Wars The Clone Wars and one of the creators and Supervising Director of Star Wars Rebels. Today we're going to be looking at a couple clips from each of those shows and see how we dealt with the evil Darth Maul.
I sense a presence I haven't felt since Master.
It's funny, like at first I'm like, is this the end of Clone Wars? No, this is earlier, but the set still held up really well. I suppose we were building towards this story for a while, and why would we bring Sidious into this? First of all, there's always a technical reason, like his outfit, the sim on his cloak, making that look good and believable wasn't something we could actually do in early seasons. So Sidious was going to remain largely a hologram. Also, I didn't feel that it was necessarily important to tell too much story about Sidious in the Clone Wars, given that that's George's main villain in his films. And so you always have to be careful, when you're using these characters that are important to the storyline of the films, that you're not changing things, that you're not changing who they are. But for Maul, Sidious is a very important character, having been his apprentice. So we had to draw Sidious out and make him confront him and kind of really show the rule of two of the Sith kind of working here. I think it's something that George was interested in. When we brought Maul back, it allowed us to challenge the Sith Lord of the day with one that had been trained by him that was now trying to reclaim his place or replace the apprentice or even the Emperor himself. So Maul became interesting that way. Maul himself has less rules on him than your typical hero. He can be a bit darker and a bit more sinister, even in the way he combats evil. And so we hadn't really seen this type of conflict in Star Wars before, where it's two different levels of villains fighting each other. For the choreography, we were always very lucky on Clone Wars that the team behind the story team was very good at doing the layout of these fights. They were all very invested in studying martial arts and other martial arts films to kind of come up with great moments. I would do a big whiteboard meeting with the team where I would block out, I want Savage to die here, I want them to fight and then wind up in this part of the plaza. These are the moments, these are the stages I want to see everybody. I wanted the final confrontation in front of this big painting that's inspired by Guernica, the Picasso painting, because it just dramatically is visual, looks interesting to see a painting of Mandalorians fighting Jedi in the background of this conflict between these Sith or would-be Sith at this point. So we have an idea of where they're going to be staged, where we want the players to be playing, and then they come up with the more intricate fight.
And you are no longer my apprentice. You have been replaced.
Although in the end, it was important that Sidious doesn't even need to dispatch him with his lightsabers. He's just going to crush him with the Force because he has a greater power. So Sidious is always holding back a little bit and revealing different levels of his power. We wanted the bad guy of Star Wars to be the ultimate and really uncontested, so that you see why Sidious is such a difficult opponent even for the Jedi. It'd be very difficult for a character like Maul to defeat Sidious, given that Sidious is just always going to go lower than he is, and his pursuit of power is even greater than Maul's. But there's a shadow of Sidious in Maul, and here at the end where Maul's begging for his life, it's like it's just he should know better. That's not going to work with Sidious. Sidious doesn't have compassion in him.
Do not worry. I'm not going to kill you. I have other uses for you.
That's it, young one. Use your anger. Use your pain. Let it fuel you. Fuel you!
One of the first things about Maul and Rebels is we designed him just a little bit differently. We wanted him to look unique. The art style in Rebels is a bit more fun and stylized than what we did in Clone Wars. So Maul's face has more of a kind of Hanya mask style, demon Japanese style mask look to it, which I thought was kind of interesting. There's so much from Star Wars that's taken from Japanese samurai films and philosophy. So that was kind of a neat little nod.
The next time you hesitate like that, it may cost you your life. Or the lives of your friends.
Also, I mean, some very intense things, but we're dealing with the idea that Ezra came to the belief that he needs to acquire somehow more power to defeat his enemies. He has a family now in the Rebels family, and he feels that family threatened, and he wants to protect them. So his thought is if he can become more powerful, maybe this is a way that he can protect them. But, you know, he's not an angry kid. He's not, you know, dark in that way, that he doesn't want to kill the Inquisitor, but Maul just is trying to push him over the edge. Maul's trying to make him more like him, you know, because misery loves company, basically, and Maul wants to drive Ezra over the edge and basically use him. I mean, I don't know that he ever really cares about Ezra, but he cares about having him on his side. He cares about having another tool to use to gain his own power. So all the evil characters are always trying to up their own power and become, you know, the ultimate master, the ultimate power in the universe. You notice here too, I don't really have the good characters don't really directly kill anybody. Maul killed both Inquisitors in this, and Kanan indirectly, you know, causes the demise of the other Inquisitor. But it was less important to see Ahsoka or Kanan cut somebody down because they're ultimately heroes. They're ultimately, you know, more like Jedi, and Maul is not. So Maul's the one that's willing to go the extra mile and just end someone's life, which is a terrible thing. Anyway, it happens.
Where's Ezra?
You mean my apprentice?
And the red frame is an abstract frame just to try to show you what Kanan feels or sees. So a lot of things go into scenes like this, and Maul turned out to be a great villain because he's so unpredictable, which added a lot of dimension to Rebels.
Which I shall use to exact my revenge on all my enemies.